the 140. I'm pretty excited. You know what? I'm going to be calm. I'm going to be good. There's going to be no trouble. And let's give it one more time for that. That was amazing.
Let's turn that one on.
So I got to admit now, I'm a little nervous going up on stage. I'm a little worried. My tech's not working. Am I live? Am I good? All right. I'm a little nervous now. My tech's not working. I'm following a pole dancer. It doesn't get better than this. It doesn't get worse than this with your speaker. The other thing is, I've self-described myself as a PowerPoint performance artist, and they won't let me use PowerPoint. So I have no idea how this is going to go. We're all family, though, right? You got my back? This is the 140 hugs? All right, we're going to do this thing. So I'm looking at that stage. It's big and empty, and it's in front of all you. I'm a little worried. But you know what? I think about it. It's just a small box for 140 characters where we can go and tell our stories and we can share. It's just Twitter. You're my Twitter friends, right? My name's Kevin Magee, Kevin A. Magee. There's a story behind that. Read my book. And I'm going to take the stage now. My story's called Carpe, Tweetium. But the story's not finished today. The story is about today. The story is about this day, and it's about all of us. Do you want to hear my story? Awesome. So what is this conference about? What is Twitter about? It's about answering a question. What is happening now? What is happening now? When you log on to Twitter and you enter something in that box, you are answering that question. What is happening now? You can answer that question two ways. You can passively look at the world and report what you're seeing. That's not for us. You can make things happen with that little box. You can interact with other people and make things happen for you. That's what we're about. That's what this day is about. That's what we're here to do. Jeff spoke earlier and said humanity's on the rise. We are that vanguard. We are making things happen in the world. We are making change. There's a few people here, but the effects of this technology amplifies what we do. That's what we're here to talk about today. So what have I learned using Twitter for the short time? Not much. It's just another tool to do what I do normally. So what do I do? What have I learned in my several years on this planet? Well, a few things. If you want to succeed in life, you have to stand up for something. You have to have values. You have to be willing to put yourself out there for something. Everyone here's done that. Everyone here knows that. Everyone owns that. Second, you have to live in the moment. We spend far too much time thinking about the future or dwelling on the past. If you want to make any change in your life or in the world, you have to live in the moment. That's where things are happening. That's what this is all about. Don't worry if you missed, something 26 tweets down. What is happening now is the question you answer when you tweet. Next, small things, little small things, little tweets, little anything you do in life can magnify into big, big results. That's what we learned. But you know what? None of that matters if you don't seize the opportunity, if you don't seize the tweet, if you don't carpe tweetium. Let me give you a couple examples from my life. Kevin Magee, the entrepreneur. Any entrepreneurs in this room? I thought there'd be a few. I'm an old school entrepreneur. I started my first company when I was 23, back in the 90s. I'm not going to give you the year. Some really young people in this room. And I did it old school. We used things like photocopiers. We used pencils. We used dial-up modems. Anyone have a US Robotics 2880? We did it old school. We didn't have the Twitter. We didn't have the Facebook. We had to grind it out. We had to do it the hard way. But we still made it work. So there's some old school entrepreneurs here. Alan from Corey, he knows. Entrepreneur in residence here. We've got some guys that have done it old school. But it's no different. It's no different. I just think, what if we had those tools back then? What we could have accomplished? What I could have done with my business? But I still made it work. And I'll give you an example. I was the startup in Hamilton, Ontario. Where's the Hamont crew? Hamont, Barton and Bay Street. We're talking a very nice, chic neighborhood. And in an old rope factory. And I started my company. And we had about 17 people. We did about $4 million of business, which was a big deal. But compared to American companies, multinationals, we couldn't compete. So I knew I needed the ultimate team of ninjas to go and run my business. And I couldn't pay them all that well. So little things matter. So I built a business based on principles, what I stood for, and I hired people that had the same values. And then I did little things. Like when I gave them their paycheck, I personally signed every paycheck. And then I noticed that little memo box in the bottom left-hand corner. I thought, I'm going to write a little note. So I started writing little notes. Thanks for staying last Wednesday and getting that job done. Really appreciate it. Just little things, little tweets. I invented Twitter, by the way. And you know what happened? Employees, when they opened their check, they weren't excited about the wages. They wanted to see what I wrote. And if I didn't write something, they worked twice as hard the next week to make sure that I mentioned them. I had no idea the effect until someone told me later. Little things matter. Live your values. Live in that moment. Take that second to recognize that individual. Those small things add up to big things, but I seized that opportunity. I saw that opportunity that no one did, and that made me competitive. So, switching gears, Kevin Magee, the family man. And yes, I am the family man. I grew up in a small town called Brantford. A couple people from Brantford. And you know what? At the age of 5, I became very, very sick. Very complicated things with asthma. I don't know. I'm not a doctor or nothing. But very sick. I spent most of my childhood in the hospital, in and out of the hospital, fighting for my life, literally fighting for my life. And I credit the Brantford General Hospital with saving that life. And a few years ago, my wife and I went in for a happy occasion, the birth of our first child. And, it's supposed to be a wonderful event. Well, it didn't quite go that way at first. It turned out well. But after 38 hours, my son's heart started to fail. So we had to do an emergency C-section. And we went into the operating room, and they got him out, and he didn't cry, he didn't breathe. So they took him into the corner, and there was a fury of activity. I'm just standing there watching it all happen. I'm a passive observer. You don't want me doing surgery. And they went into the corner, and I looked down, and I didn't know, but my wife had been sedated afterwards, and she was unresponsive too. For that one moment, I'd lost everything in my life. Everything. What's happening now? Nothing. Nothing. Then I heard him cry. He took his first breath. They revived my wife. Everything I had in life came back. Everything that was important to me came back. 1 moment later. That's the difference of 1 moment. I really reevaluated my priorities that day. Little things matter. I value those moments, every moment I spend with my family and friends and children. And you know what? I didn't need Twitter to teach me that. But those values can be amplified due to the technology. So that leads into Kevin Magee, the charitable fundraiser. I really wanted to do something for Brantford General Hospital that had saved my life twice in 2 different ways. And I wanted to write $1 million check. But you know what? I don't have $1 million. If, I don't know, someone's got some $1 million, we could really use it. They were raising money for a birthing center, and I thought, what better way to express my gratitude? And I felt really guilty because I couldn't write that check for $1 million. But what did I have? I had a story. I told that story over and over and over. And I figure if I tell it 1 million times, it connects with people. They make a connection. They have a connection to the hospital. They donate. Maybe I raise my $1 million that way. Maybe that's a better way to do it. Maybe that's a longer-term solution. And I still get to raise my $1 million for the hospital. So last, Kevin Magee, the unmayor of Brantford. The last story I have to offer for Twitter. Why am I the unmayor of Brantford? Well, it happened in a strange way. A guy named Trevor Truca, is he in the room? Where's Trevor? I don't know, these big lights in my eyes. There's only 2 people in the room that I knew before Twitter. My wife, sitting over here somewhere, and Trevor Truca. Trevor Truca came to me and said, we're going to do an event called Tweetstock. And what the heck is a Tweetstock? He said, well, it's about Twitter, and we want you to come and talk to your experience on Twitter. I'm like, dude, I don't even know what Twitter is. He said, start an account, come 8 weeks, tell us what you think. So I got on Twitter, and I did what I always do. I made an ass of myself for the cause. I went and talked about everything I believe in. I lived in the moment, and I did little small things for the organizations I believe in. I talked about the things that I care about, and things happened. People started to follow. I find if you paint the picture, you go after it, people will follow, and they did by the thousands. Now, when I tweet something out, I can expect a great room full of people, a great country full of people, a great world full of people to lend their support. That's what we're all here for today. The other thing that came out of that is I met all of you, or most of you. Who met me through Twitter? Raise your hand. Who's seen me speak at one of these things before? Some of the best friends of my life are in this room. The people I know I can count on whenever I need them, any point in my life. If I've got some cause I'm waiting for, Big Daddy Creative is going to retweet it. First guy. I know I can count on him. Those 2 girls, biggest cheerleaders in the world. Biggest. So, what I want you to do today, and there's some sort of complicated hat thing I'm just going to ignore for a second. We need to take this opportunity. We have 200 people that are committed. We need to stand up together for all of these things that we believe in. So if you're here at the 140 because you believe in something, you're here because you're passionate about something, stand up with me. Stand up now. Look around you. What's happening now? What's happening now? What can we do and accomplish today? If you're going to capture every one of those moments and every one of those opportunities today, raise your hand and keep them up.
And while you're up there, please raise your hands for Kevin Magee and say thank you. That's awesome, Kevin.
You know what happens now?
Thank you so much.
One last thing. High five the hell out of each other.